Long time ago, I was 5 years old. This is about my eyes. The house we lived in was very big and rented at that time. The landlord had the downstairs portion. There were 3 or 4 rooms inside. There were bedrooms and one big hall-like room, not really a drawing room, just a large hall. Next to it were stairs going up. That upstairs portion was ours. There were 4 rooms upstairs where we lived. My uncle and our family stayed upstairs. The downstairs portion, when you opened the main door, had a big courtyard first. On one side of the courtyard was a room with a lock. Inside that room, there was another room, basically, a room within a room. Right at the end, there was a door. When you opened that door, you entered another room, basically, a room connected from inside, a room within a room. There was also a big hall and another room on the side. The owner of the house kept the downstairs portion for himself and kept it locked. We had rented the upstairs portion from him. Najma says, I'm telling you about the time when I was 5, but I don't know since when my family. I don't remember how long we had rented it from him, but I do remember that we had such good relations with the landlord. He didn't live downstairs and had locked all the doors, but eventually he gave us the keys. He said we could go downstairs if we needed to, like for some work or to store things. The downstairs wasn't empty. His belongings were there. After the courtyard, on the left side was the room within a room, and both those rooms were also filled with his stuff. When you opened the first room's door, it was full of stuff, beds, trunks, everything. The next room at the end also had his things inside, and even the hall was filled with his belongings. We used to go downstairs often, and so did the family. If guests came, they'd sit there, or if someone needed to stay, we'd let them stay downstairs. Time passed like this, but there was one thing famous about the house. People said a woman was seen there, a young girl. They briefly told us there's a girl seen in the house, but no one really explained who she was. Grandma had mentioned it. Almost everyone had heard the story, but few had actually seen her. Grandma always said she was very brave. She was the wife of Junat, and she learned wrestling from her father. She wasn't scared of anything, and she had experienced something herself. The story continues that something happened to Grandma, which she didn't tell anyone at first. But after that incident, she had to share it. She had already told everyone, there's a girl here, don't be scared if you see her. All she said was the girl wears black clothes and has shoulder-length hair. Back then, women usually had long hair, but this girl had cut hers to shoulder length, which was unusual in the village. Back then, cutting hair was considered very bad, almost shameful, but the girl Grandma saw wore black clothes, was fair and pretty, and had shoulder-length hair. Everyone thought maybe Grandma just imagined it or maybe it was someone else. Only Allah knows. Grandma used to say she appeared often, and if anyone saw her, they shouldn't worry. One day, your uncle's 4 or 5 close friends came to visit. They all decided to sit downstairs since they knew your family had access to that portion. Your uncle brought the keys from upstairs to open the downstairs rooms. Most were locked, but the inner room wasn't. It just had the old-style latch, not a modern lock. I speak both English and Urdu because some people understand only one language. In villages, people would get this. Back then, Doors were locked with a heavy iron chain, not modern latches. You'd hook the chain into a ring and put a padlock on it. They unlocked the main door, dropped the chain, and found the inner room only had a chain, no lock. The side room was locked from outside, but the farthest room was open. Everyone came down, and your uncle's friends said, "Let's sit in the usual room, the one with another room inside." The inner room's door was closed but only had a chain, no lock. They all went downstairs, played around, and started joking. Suddenly, the friends decided to prank your uncle by locking him inside that inner room, especially since he used to tell them spooky stories about the girl seen by Grandma. So, while a few friends slipped outside, one stayed and told your uncle to close his eyes for a surprise. As soon as he did, that friend also ran out, and they all shut the door, fastening the chain. Your uncle was left alone inside, banging on the door and yelling, "What are you guys doing?" Your uncle started shouting, "Why did you lock me in? Are you guys crazy?" But his friends just laughed and joked, "We've left you for the ghost girl you wanted to meet." They kept teasing him while he knocked on the door, begging them to let him out. As your uncle kept banging on the door, suddenly he heard the sound of anklets, like someone was walking nearby. He turned around and saw the farthest door, still open, and a girl in black clothes standing there. Your uncle saw a stunningly beautiful girl, shoulder-length hair, glowing white skin, rosy cheeks, and big eyes. He said he'd never seen anyone so gorgeous, with lips and cheeks so pink they looked unreal. He was still banging on the door when he turned and saw her standing there. The girl quietly came inside and stood right in front of your uncle, leaving him completely stunned with fear. He was so scared that his voice was trembling, and his mind went blank with panic. He kept shouting, "Open the door! Open the door!" The girl just stood there, watching him for a while. There was enough daylight and room light for him to clearly see her, even though it wasn't super bright. That room was in total darkness except for the open door, and he didn't hear any sound of the chain or door opening. When the girl stood right in front of him, he suddenly heard a clear Indian film song, but couldn't figure out which house it was coming from. He was left shocked and confused by the whole thing. The song was from the movie Jis Desh Mein Ganga Bahti Hai. He clearly heard it inside the room, but couldn't tell where it came from. As soon as the girl heard the lyrics, she started swaying and slowly moving her hands, like she was dancing. She slowly started moving her head down and dancing, completely lost in the music. She was swaying and enjoying the song so much that she didn't even notice anything around her. She kept dancing like that until the song ended. Her hands dropped down and her head hung low, as if she had become sad or deeply upset. With her head and arms hanging, she slowly turned her neck and, like a person on remote control, she gradually walked towards the door right in front of my eyes. As soon as she entered the room, the door closed by itself. No one closed it from outside or inside. I couldn't see anything. The door closed by itself, and suddenly my screams stopped. I had no idea what had happened. My friends outside thought it had been too long. First, my voice sounded scared, then I started screaming, begging them to open the door, but then I just kept screaming without knocking. At that moment, his voice was full of fear. He kept shouting, "Open the door," then suddenly went quiet. His friends worried he'd fainted, So they opened the door and saw him standing there, eyes wide open in terror. He looked awake but was so shocked. He had no idea what was happening around him. He stood there staring at the door, just conscious enough not to fall, but otherwise out of it, like a standing faint. His eyes were open, but he wasn't aware of anything. Only when his friends dragged him out did he collapse. Seeing the terror in his eyes, his friends also got scared and started shouting loudly. As everyone at home heard the noise, they rushed downstairs. Grandpa, Grandma, Dad, everyone. They tried to bring him back to his senses, gave him water, and after a while, he finally came around. When asked what happened, he said he saw that girl inside, so the family and friends opened the door and went in together. The family searched the whole room. It was locked tight, and the front door was chained from outside. They opened it, checked inside, but found no one in either room. Later, when everyone was upstairs, Grandma sat with him and, for the first time, asked, "How did you see her?" surprising everyone that Grandma seemed to know something too. Everyone now believed what he saw was real because Grandma had seen the same thing before. When asked, Grandma finally shared her story. She said one night when everyone was asleep, she couldn't sleep and felt like. Grandma said she felt restless that night and really wanted tea, which was unusual for her at that hour. She decided to heat some milk with tea leaves in the kitchen around midnight. As she started, she suddenly heard a strange sound, because their kitchen was right next to. The kitchen was right by the stairs, and Grandma heard someone coming up, each step making a chan-chan sound like anklets. She realized it had to be a woman because only women wear anklets, but wondered who would be walking upstairs so late at night. Curious and a bit scared, she turned to face the stairs. Grandma said the sound was from a beautiful girl in black, just like Junad described. The girl stopped at the last step, then slowly walked right up to Grandma, staring at her. She turned her head left and right, looking at Grandma in a very strange, unsettling way. Grandma was shocked by the girl's straight, short hair. No one in their village had hair like that. The girl was so beautiful. Her face almost glowed, but the way she stared made Grandma realize this wasn't a normal person. At that moment, Grandma just knew something supernatural was happening. Grandma remembered she'd been told to hold fire in front of any strange creature and recite protective verses. Since she was heating milk, she quickly grabbed a burning stick and held it out. The girl, who had been moving slowly, suddenly turned and rushed away as soon as she saw the fire. As soon as Grandma showed the fire and started reciting the protective verses, the girl backed off, clearly scared of the flames. Grandma was a bit scared but stayed calm, realizing this wasn't human, it must be a jinn or spirit. She understood then why fire works, and kept chanting until her tongue felt heavy. As Grandma chanted the verses, the girl covered her ears in pain, clearly bothered by the words. Without saying a word, she quickly turned and rushed down the stairs, with Grandma following, holding the burning stick. Both hurried down, Grandma still reciting the verses and waving the fire. Grandma saw the girl run straight into a locked room, passing right through the closed door, something no human could do. That's when Grandma was 100% sure it wasn't a person, but a jinn, especially since the verses and fire hurt her. After that, Grandma had no doubt about what she'd seen. Grandma stood by the door, kept reciting the verses, and blew around for extra protection before heading back upstairs. She finished making tea, stayed alert for a while, but nothing happened, so she finally went to bed. For days after, she waited to see if anything strange would happen again, but all stayed quiet. Grandma told everyone not to be scared, since she herself wasn't afraid. She saw the jinn a couple more times, always quickly passing by and never coming close again. Grandma realized the jinn avoided her and didn't harm anyone, so there was no need to worry. Grandma just let the jinn pass by and quietly hinted to everyone not to go near that last room, especially at night. The family lived there for a while, but after this incident, they decided it was too scary to stay. That room downstairs was believed to be the jinn's home, so they eventually moved out. Then it became difficult for us to sleep at night, so after that, we changed the house, we left that house.